Oh hey, welcome to another edition of hand-laid tracks and 3D printed trains with Socrates. Today we're looking at a double coil car. I always liked coil cars. Decided to make myself one. I tried to make one a little while ago, but it only came out okay. Wasn't but so happy with it, so I decided to take another attack at it. Found some photos, made up my own version of it. It's similar, not exactly exact, but microtrains wheels on the bottom. And prints in two pieces, or three I guess. You can print the coil tops from your own piece. They snap on, and microtrain couplers go on the bottom. Run it on an N-scale train track, and you got yourself a double coil car. So basically the car prints in three pieces, two cans and a base. I use a little bit of a deburring tool to go around the edges. I made it so it's only supposed to go together once, so it's kind of tight, but I didn't really want it to come apart, and once it's together, it stays together, so that's good. But each one of these I pretty much went ahead and cleaned out the outside with a deburring tool, and also around the base and the inside of the base, and cleaned off the outside of the base a little bit. If you use the supports that I include, there's basically a 0.5 millimeter gap around the outside, and the flange is barely stuck to it, and it pulls off pretty easily. I found that if you put the tops of the coil cars once into all four corners, so once on the short end, the other short end, and the two sides, is the best way to get it to go ahead and open up the edges, I guess. And then it seems to fit best when you put it in on the long edge first, and then sort of push in the side of the other edge, and it kind of clicks in. And I found that go ahead and first fit it once to the base, and try to remember which side's on which side. And they have a little tiny wheel, not that it really matters, but there's a little brake wheel on one side, so I try to keep the brake wheel on the outside. And then once you've got them snapped in and it fits good enough, you can quietly take them off and put them to the side. And then with the base upside down, you can push in the microtrains couplers, because they're using the standard pin that all my trains are using, microtrains couplers. And as far as how to take out a coupler, I use a little tiny flat edge screwdriver, goes underneath it and sort of leverages out, and then it lifts right out. And you can see I was sort of swapping off from the coal cars onto this because I have a tiny track and I have only but so much space. And to make sure that the trucks are loose enough, I sort of wiggle it around to make sure that they flop up and down, because if they're too tight to flop, then it's going to cause derailment. So I make sure they're loose enough, and just again a little bit of the screwdriver underneath it. And then once the trucks are on, you have to be a little more careful getting the coils back on. But again, they sort of snap in, and there's enough of an edge on the corners that you can kind of push down and get it in. You know, it'd take a little time. So far, I haven't broken off any of the edges of it, and I've done about 6 cars. They all worked close enough. Took a little bit of fiddling and a little bit of patience, but eventually I got them to snap together. And again, you can sometimes cut off the edges, have a bit of a flash around the edge, and if you clean the corner edge, that's helpful to get it to go on. But once you've snapped on the first front and the back, you've got yourself a finished coil car. Double coil car, get it on Cults. Oh, I thought they were really one of these pretty things you see, especially a lot in American railroads, because they're doing a lot of steel traffic, and this is how they carry rolled steel to plants, and they make automobiles and factory machines and buildings and all sorts of stuff out of it. Get yourself a double coil car. Get it on Cults. Print them up yourself. Thanks for watching. Hand-laid tracks doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song. Hand-laid tracks still doesn't have a theme song. Hand-laid tracks doesn't have a theme song, not a consistent theme song, always a different theme song. Hand-laid tracks still kind of a theme song.